Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 180. I am your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People, and I am joined by the king of wholesaling.
What
my
up, dog?
man, my brother,
Nice to
Jamil
see you.
Damji. How are you?
Amazing, man. Just got back from Montana.
That's right.
Incredible place.
Beautiful.
Wow.
God's country.
It is.
Yeah.
Big sky.
Yep.
You could see stars at night,
Oh, yeah.
stars in the day, stars in people's eyes.
Yeah.
It was a really wonderful opportunity to connect with people and really just strengthen relationships, create new ones.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people really just saw how you could mix work and play
Yep.
together and, you know, gain millions of dollars in relationships, but like over s'mores.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
How fun is that?
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think that it's listen, you know, you never know. You go on to meetup.com, right? And you look for real estate investing meetups in your local market. You go into Real Estate Investor Association meetups. And I remember when I first walked into my first RIA meeting, Real Estate Investor Association, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was all these tables with all these vendors. There were like all the people that kind of knew each other. And then there was like a stage set up and it just had like some traveling, you know, coach or trainer or mentor guy that was talking about buying notes. And I had no idea what was going on. And I was like, I feel so awkward here. Like, I don't know, like I'm going to go try to talk to some people. And I tried talking to the vendors because they always want you to talk and kind of warms you up. And then you go and start talking to other people. And it's very, it's you can have a ton of great connections, but it can be very business first, business forward, right?
Yep.
As opposed to something that you just went to where it's more let's be friends and then let's talk business.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
That's great. I wanted to bring this up. I thought that this was awesome. So because I'm licensed, they still send me Realtor Magazine. And do you see what it says here on the very cover? Do you want to tell them what that says?
It says not enough housing.
The market falls short for too many would-be buyers. Realtors are working to change that. But right now, the editor and the economist here, the economic editor for them has this article titled "Good Time for Investors to Unload." All right. There are 44 million renter households. Half live in mid-sized to large apartment buildings, while the other half rent single-family duplex, triplex, or quadplex units. We just say fourplex. Although apartments are not necessarily as competitive as single-family units, a 40-year high in multifamily construction means many units will be hitting the market in the upcoming months and into the next year. Rent growth has already turned the corner from acceleration to deceleration,
Right.
Still rising in most markets, but at a slower pace. Look at single-family construction. Builders are still underproducing compared to historic averages. What does that tell you?
Well, there's an incredible situation brewing, right? We know first and foremost that multifamily units, as they just said, are being built in excess.
Yep.
What is that going to do to the overall rental market, right? Because in my opinion, I think that somebody who rents a single family house is not necessarily the same
Totally
demographic as who's going to rent multifamily. So does this flood in multifamily units ultimately mean a depression in rents for single family house? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that, yes, nationally on average, we're going to see maybe rents bottom or possibly flatline. Maybe if you're going to include multifamily units in the metric with single family, yes, you might see a slight decline, but I do not think that that's going to mean single family homes are going to have rent decreases at all. In fact, I think it's just going to get tighter. You know, the thought that now is a good time for investors to unload depends. It depends on what kind of mortgage, what kind of note you got that. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to force people or scare people or drop a hint that, hey guys, hey investors, might be a good time to sell. And by the way, use one of our licensed agents that pay us to list your property, and we can generate more fees and whatnot. So there's an angle. There's of course an angle, but I don't want to assume that the article is written just to sell an angle, right? I think that what they discuss here is sensible, but I don't believe that we're going to see a flood of single family housing on the market. It's just the investors that are holding notes right now that are in the 2 to 4% range are not going to see rates like that ever again. Right. So what is the likelihood of them wanting to lose that financing? Very low.
So this is what I love. I love that last week interest rates went up again.
Right.
The reason I love it is because the properties that are hitting, there's still demand in the market.
Big time.
The demand is still much higher than the supply.
Big time.
All right. That means that there's going to be appreciation. That means that there's going to be multiple offers. And that means flippers win.
Correct.
And when flippers win, we win.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
That is what it's at. If you're going after properties that need significant investment, I mean, who else is going to find these deals for them?
Exactly. And you know, if you've been looking, I mean, I'm sure your business has been finding or seeing the same kind of volume, but I mean, we're incredibly busy at Keegley.
Yes.
The phones are ringing. We don't have enough staff. You know, you remember Dedrick, who I was an Instacart delivery guy who came and got a job at Keegley. I just got a text message from him right now. I think we should ring the bell for him because he just gets started. Okay. I meet him on a chance encounter. He says, I currently have 3 deals in Arizona locked up, scheduled to close in the next couple of weeks. I have another JV in Ohio. Thanks for referring me to Jameson, who's your Keegley franchise owner over there. In little over a month, this is way more traction day to day than I was able to find on my own. I can't stress how appreciative I am. But look at this, man. 1 month, in under a month, this guy's got 3 deals under contract. Come on. Yeah.
Feel this new bell.
Ooh.
Feel this thing.
Oh, that's heavy, bro.
That's the real bell.
That's skookum.
That's Tom Kroll just sent that to a bunch of us today. Yeah, congratulations on that. What the point I'm making, and by the way, guys, this is going to be a huge amount of audience participation today. We really need your questions in here. We really need to know what you're doing out there. We want to answer your questions. We want to celebrate your successes. We want you to post in the comments section wherever you're watching this and let everybody know where you're doing business so that you can squad up. That's what we want to do. All right. So make sure if you have questions, Matt over here is going to be starring questions and we're going to be answering it. Pace is on his way back from Montana. He is flying in an airplane right now, so he won't join us this evening. But we will get to a lot of your questions. All right,
safe travels, Mr. Morby.
A lot of audience participation.
Yes,
today.
Sir. Yes, sir.
But I think that it's really interesting when interest rates go up. People that have the lower rates don't sell their properties.
Correct.
These are people that are looking to buy a bigger house. These are people looking to downsize. These are people that, just want to buy an extra rental property. It's not getting snatched up. So all the demand is on people that just want to buy houses to live in, which is the bread and butter for most flippers.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. It spells good news for wholesalers. It spells some trouble for potential realtors who aren't playing in the space.
There's a million less
properties.
Million less properties this year, we'll say.
Right. And so if you take that average and you spread it across all the licensed agents across the United States, everyone is going to feel it in some way, which is, again, why real estate agents need to understand the different ways that they can navigate the current environment, right? Really understanding how to be an investor, how to maximize how much money you make on a deal will allow you to be more profitable if you can wear different hats.
Good time for investors to unload. That's what they want. They want investment properties on the market to fit the demand. I am telling you right now is a great time to build excellent relationships with real estate agents. And right now is an excellent time to add as many fix and flip buyers to your cash buyer database as possible.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yep.
I want to hit you with another thing.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yes.
This is 2022 stats for $1 billion plus family net worth. Okay. Billionaires net worth, how they hold there. 10% in cash, 32% in the stock market, equities, 17% bonds and life insurance, 21% in private equity or venture capital, 4% in hedge fund, 4% in commodities, 12%, only 12% in real estate.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
I would not have guessed that at all. I would have had my numbers way all over the place on that. And that just shows you something. I think that, let's go back and look at this. 10% liquid cash, right? 32% equities, and that's going to be stocks, right?
Yep.
Okay. So again, liquid, right? If you're paying attention, what's happening here, cash is 10%, equities is 32%. That's 42% of their money is in vehicles that they can access the funds for immediately.
Yep.
Right. Then bonds and life insurance, of course, that's a long-term hold. That's their stability. Possibly that's just cash flow and stability for them. So that's not going anywhere. And then 12% in real estate. In honesty, I think that shows that real estate is still a vehicle for the wealthy, but it's not being as heavily relied upon as I would have guessed. That this actually shocked me.
Well, how many people do you need to buy a stock? How many people do you need to run a huge portfolio of real estate?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the attention. Where are you putting your attention on it? And I'm not saying, listen, I think that owning real estate is fantastic. And I think that owning real estate free and clear is
another thing here is that 12%. So I'm thinking about scale, right? Because if you're thinking about billionaires, we're talking about a big portion of their net worth. So let's just say a billionaire, 12% of their, so 120 million, right? 120 million in real estate. Well, $120 million in real estate is a pretty substantial amount of real estate, right? It also is a substantial amount of overhead, a substantial amount of accounting, a substantial amount of upkeep, just a substantial amount of maintenance. Obviously, they need it in their portfolios for depreciation and the tax benefits and mortgage pay down and all the other wonderful things that you get from real estate. But this is really, really, really shocking.
I always thought the wealthy owned all this real estate.
I thought so too. I would have said
60%.
I would have said 60%. I mean, do you know the source of the data?
Forbes.
Wow.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So interesting to dig in there. I always thought that, well, the more that the more money you make, the more real estate you have to have, because that's going to cover it. But what I think it comes down to is your balance sheet. How much debt do you have on that 120 million?
Right.
Because some of them probably own it free and clear, but it's probably got some debt on it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so,
do you think that this number is a function of the current times? Like, do you think last year that 12% might have been 22% and there was an offloading just based off of the conditions in the market?
That's a great question.
I'd be interested to see, where it was and to track it.
Sell that much real estate in a year,
would.
Though. Yeah.
It would.
Anyway,
guys, make sure you get your questions in the chat here. We are ready to get to them.
We're rocking and rolling.
Wonderful.
Do we have some starred, Matt? Just go ahead and throw them up. Okay.
All right. Joel. Love you, Joel.
Oh, man.
Joel says, at Jamil, with the market going down, how much discounts do we go at? Seeing turnkey being listed a long time, is cash still powerful? Lots to unpack there, Joel. First and foremost, I didn't say the market's going down. It is actually not going down. We're looking at pricing here in Phoenix, Arizona, and it is hot. In fact, I'm starting to see prices start to escalate beyond where we were in the peak of July of 2022. And so it's not necessarily going down. I actually wouldn't advise you to decrease your offers at the time right now. I think you need to be a little bit more bullish on your offers if you're planning to compete against other investors who are trying to snag the properties. The facts are, brother, right now is that there's just not enough inventory. And when you don't have supply and you have steady demand, which is what we're seeing, yes, demand is decreased to some degree, but it's still there. There are still buyers at the table. There are still retail buyers at the table. There are still investor buyers at the table. And so I wouldn't be adjusting my offers lower. In fact, I'd be really, really wanting to look and see how aggressive I can be on my offers and still be viable to make a deal happen. With turnkey being listed a long time, I would say, yes, I'm seeing that, Joel. I'm seeing that the majority of properties that are selling fast are houses that have been renovated, that are beautifully done, clean, but not updated, clean, livable, but not, nicely finished, is sitting on the market. Those properties are just, because the buyers who are at the table right now, they can be a little bit more picky and they're going after what they really want because there's fewer of them at the table, so they can actually get the house that they like. I'm seeing exactly what you're saying. That stuff that's just kind of turnkey or average is going to sit, and you can still go in there and use the cash, which still has a tremendous amount of power, to go in and take opportunity into your hands and offer a lower price, especially for people that have motivation.
Guys, we're going to have a special guest on in just a bit. We're having some technical difficulties, but wait till you see who we have popping up in just a few minutes. Smokey,
Ooh.
What if owner owes taxes on a piece of land and the land is neighborhood commercial? Is it the same dispo strategy as a house? On a piece of the land? Sure. I mean, it's a much different strategy for commercial land, but it's a lot more popular. I'll tell you that. There is a fraction of the amount of property for commercial buildings than there is for residential. So usually you get a lot more for those. And I would talk to a commercial broker if you've got it. If you're negotiating, I would talk to a commercial broker and get their buy price because they know all the buyers. Do you sell commercial deals?
I have. Yeah. I don't necessarily love the commercial sector, not because it's not good.
Yeah.
It's a specific type of buyer.
Yes.
And at Keegley, we mainly farm for single family buyers. And so we don't have as many commercial buyers as I'd like or as we would need in order to be really skilled at trading commercial. But yes, there's a lot of viability in commercial deals. Land is better than office right now. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to what's happening in the world of office space, but it is depressing.
Yeah. Commercial deals are fantastic. It just makes sure that you understand
the type,
what type of commercial you can build on there, because that's going to really determine who to take that deal to.
Industrial is good right now. Mixed use is really good right now. Mixed use is really that's the cat's meow.
Could be multifamily.
Yep.
Yeah. So, guys, I am so excited for this. You guys are about to get it. All right. There was a guy for the last 4 years. 4 years has dominated. He's like Joey Chestnut. You know who Joey Chestnut is? The hot dog eating contest guy. He's won year after year.
Yeah,
after
he can.
Everybody's really just competing for second.
He can shove sausage after sausage after sausage down his throat, just like our new guest.
just like our guest we're about to bring on. That's right. We've got the king closer, RJ Bates III. Joining us. What's up, RJ?
Bro?
That's the best intro I've ever gotten, Jamil. Thank you. Oh, man. Thank you guys for having me. I had to text Brent yesterday. I said, hey, if I win, it's tradition. I come on Wholesale Hotline the next Monday because this is what we did in 2021.
It is tradition. Yes, sir. You get to come here and talk as much smack as you want.
Yeah, buddy. Well, listen, it's an honor to be on here, and you guys are two of my most favorite guys in the industry. So thank you guys for having me again.
We're happy to have you.
I loved watching you yesterday. I love it every year that you get to compete. It's a different level that you bring to it than you usually do. I mean, you're always focused. You're always in the zone on your YouTube channel and really pouring into the community. But to see you under that pressure and knowing you have to beat a certain score, it's awesome. And he always rises to the occasion.
Yeah, actually, I got a full play-by-play from Brent today. Obviously, we were traveling, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to tune in. But Brent gave me the play-by-play on how you were able to get that contract in, and really well done. You know, it's not easy, guys. What he is accomplishing by getting a seller across the finish line, and the amount of time that he's doing it on these in this contest is not for the faint of heart. It is a very, very difficult thing to accomplish. So, RJ, tell us, what were some of the key takeaways for you from your performance on Closer Olympics this year?
Yeah, I think I'll go back to putting in the reps and getting prepared for the moment. I mean, yesterday was tough. I mean, first and foremost, I don't ever work on Sundays. Sunday is a day of rest. And so the only time I've ever tried to talk to a seller has been during the Closers Olympics on a Sunday. It proved to be difficult. We ran a little bit behind. So I think when I was going, it was like 3-4 o'clock on the East Coast. That's a pretty tough time on a Sunday to be talking to people. But just the amount of dials that I've put in over the past couple of years really allowed me to feel comfortable during what I think most people would have felt was very stressful. The other thing is understanding your exit strategies first. I talked about this afterwards. The first person I talked to was a highly distressed seller. Basically, using his words, he had abandoned the property multiple times and owed $42,000 on his mortgage, and that the ARV that they gave me was $40,000. So understanding immediately and quickly what to do there. And I know this is, we got the subto community here in masses. So it's important for us to talk about this. The property needed work. And so the fact that taking it down sub-2 was not the play. He's underwater. The play there was a short sell and kind of leading him to the water and explaining why that was the better solution for him. That was really tough to do. I actually got 3 or 4 phone calls last night saying, hey, man, congrats on winning, but kudos to you for doing the right thing with that seller. You could have easily just locked that up as a sub-2, won the competition, and moved on, but you took care of the seller. So that was probably my most proud moment yesterday, is just kind of showcasing, because I preach that all the time. We got to make sure we take care of our sellers.
Can you unpack that for us, RJ? Because I think it's important to understand how you made the distinction that it wouldn't have been appropriate for a sub-2, but it made more sense as a short sale. When I'm looking at it from the outside looking in, and enlighten me, please, because I'm completely blind to what happened in the situation. But I would think that if he owes 42 and or 40, and he, it's worth 42 or whatever, maybe I flipped those. But it sounds to me like he was underwater slightly, but it would still need work. Now, wouldn't it be to his advantage to sell it sub-2 and not have a short sale on his credit, or what made you make that decision?
The reason why is because it's not a good play for us to buy it sub-2, because the property needed $20,000 in work. So the max this property could be worth is $40,000. He owes $42,000, so we're already $2,000 upside down. Then we're going to come in and we're going to put another $20,000. So we're going to be $62,000 in on a property that's now worth $40,000, and it can max rent for like $600-700 in an area. So you're talking about a 1% rental in an area where you should be getting a 2% at minimum. It just wasn't the exit strategy. And I always talk about this, like your exit strategy determines your acquisition strategy. And when you understand that, it's very easy for you to instantaneously underwrite the deal and say, here's what, there is only one solution for you, sir. It's a short sell. Yeah, it hurts him a little bit in the short run, but understand, he verbally said, I've walked away from this property. I'm okay with getting foreclosed on. So the fact that we were able to say, hey, you don't need to get foreclosed.
Right.
Let us help you. And then it can still come back maybe 90, 120 days from now and be a deal for us if our short sell expert can go in and get that down to a $10,000, $12,000 purchase price for us.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so this property, if you were to take it over sub 2 and you were to get a tenant into that property, the tenant that would get into that property would, it would be really difficult. You would need significant investment into making it rent ready.
Right.
And if you didn't have that investment, you just threw a tenant in there, they're not going to make their payments for long.
Right.
You're just not going to make
you're
the payments
basically
so it puts the guy in an even worse position,
right,
because now you're not paying, the tenant's not making the payment. Now the investor has to make the payment. And if that investor doesn't make that payment, this dude is behind on it again.
Makes
Correct
sense.
me if I'm wrong, Brent. The mortgage payment on that was like $500 a month.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it was high. I actually think I asked him, I was like, how are you paying $500 a month for a $42,000 mortgage? Like, it didn't make a whole lot of sense there. I don't know if there was some sort of hard money loan or something that he was on, but it was a terrible situation, but we were able to solve it. And that's what we do. I mean,
let me ask you this, RJ, because there's a lot of people that are just starting their journey in real estate watching you. And they're like, I want to be able to be that confident. I want to be able to dig into my toolbox and pull out short sale and sub 2 and cash and owner financing. And they want to know all those things. So they're like, okay, I'm going to go learn all of those things. Do you think that that's the best path when you're starting, or should you focus on something and then add those once you've mastered the other ones?
No, I mean, for us, it was, I want to be a wholesaler. So I learned how to wholesale. And then it was, hold on, there are sellers I don't know how to help. I don't have a solution. What is sub 2? Okay, I'm going to make Pace my mentor for sub 2s, and I learned sub 2. And then I need to understand a novation, because I've come across deals where a novation would be played. I go hire Eric Brewer as my mentor for novations, and I added those tools. I mean, I've been doing this at this point in time, for 9 years. So it's taken years to add those different tools in the toolbox. But it's like, having people like Nicole Espinoza and Matthew Potter in my back pocket for short sales.
Yep.
That's where I don't know anything about short sales. They taught me everything that I know. And essentially what they taught me is this is when you get triggered for it, and this is how you handle the situation. So you saw it right there on the Closers Olympics. Immediately I called Matthew Potter and I said, hey, Potter, I got a short sell. He said, don't worry about it. The packet's going out right now. And it got sent and it got signed. And now we're going to be able to help solve that man's problems. But it has nothing to do with us. It has everyone else that's way smarter in their own little niche. And I just learned it from them.
It's interesting. I do a couple of deals with Matt Potter every single month. And he is one of the most underutilized tools in our business. I mean, I just mean it. I mean, him and Nicole are so good at negotiating short sales to help sellers when they are underwater on their property. I really do think it would be worth our while to bring them back on to
absolutely
maybe even have like a short sale. Seeing as how RG sparked the conversation from the Closers Olympics, we should have like a short sale special where maybe we bring them both on here so they can explain when it is appropriate to use their situation. Because I completely agree with you, RJ. It is about what's best for the situation, what's best for the investor, what's best for the seller, what's best for all the parties involved, and being fully transparent and honest about it. And, it sounds to me like that's where you went.
If that was a fully remodeled $40,000 house, it's sub 2 all day long.
All day.
Yeah.
But there is a hashtag squad up written, scrolling across this for a reason. Even RJ squads up. Listen, if you don't know how to handle a deal where somebody has a rough looking house and they have no equity, but they really need some help, find somebody, add to your crew, add to your personal board of directors, people that can do other deals. All right. So that you can stay focused on finding incredible deals and wholesaling them and getting a big old fat bank account that's heavy enough for you to quit your job and to be able to do this business full time. And then start adding some of these other things. It's just so many people get caught in the education loop. The education loop. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you feel good. It's creative avoidance. If we can learn something, that means we don't have to go talk to somebody. And if we don't have to talk to somebody, then we don't have to worry about rejection.
Absolutely.
But Brent, here's the thing. Squad up, but make sure you're squatting up with a squad that takes action.
Of course.
Okay? You can end up in this big old circle where we're all talking about we're going to do something one day. Okay. But here's the thing. I get to do a beautiful podcast every Thursday, Pardon the Disruption, with Steve Trang, Chris Jefferson, Eric Brewer, and Matthew Potter. I go do these 50 deals all over the 50 states, right? I get a deal in Florida. And because I've heard Chris Jefferson talking about what he wants to do, with one dial, I called Chris Jefferson and I said, hey, man, this is a great wholesale. I know that's what you're wanting to do right now. You've got some money you need to place. Boom, $70,000 assignment to my buddy. Never even hit investor lift. Same thing. Eric Brewer. Hey, I'm buying rentals in Maryland like they're hotcakes. Soon as we got one that came from my TikTok, by the way, the lead came from my TikTok, sold it to Eric Brewer immediately. These are my friends that I'm doing business with. We're not dispoing these deals. I'm calling my buddy. I'm having 10 minutes of chit chat. And then, by the way, we're sending an assignment at the end. That's what squatting up is right there. When you're making money together, that's when it's really fun.
Yeah. First, at least in the last 100 years or so, industrial age, then came the information age, and truly now it is the social age. Guys, jump on board, squat up. Everything that you know is already in somebody else's brain. Questions are just the pickaxe to get at that gold. That is the fact. That is a Tim Ferriss line. That's probably the only thing I like about Tim Ferriss, but it is the absolute truth. Everything that you want is in somebody else's mind already. Just go and introduce yourself. Start a conversation. And the best way to find the best people, just like RJ was saying, be in action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's it. You
got to be in action. You got to take massive imperfect action every single day and just build it up and build it up and build it up. RJ, how many property owners do you think you've talked to personally?
Oh my goodness. It's funny. Was it you that said 45,000 yesterday?
Yep. I've talked to 45,000.
When you said that, I started trying to reverse engineer. I couldn't tell you, Brent. I mean, because are we talking about just on the phone?
Yeah.
Not text messages?
Just like reaching out cold or just reaching out, just having a conversation with the property.
It's got to be tens of thousands,
It's got to be. It's got to be up there. It could be approaching six figures at this point, to be honest.
Sure.
Wow.
For sure.
I mean, and every single one of those conversations, I'll be honest with you, this is another thing about, I talk about this sometimes when I'm in voicemail hell and I've got people watching me on my live. I just talk about what I'm going through. Every conversation that I have with a seller, I recap in my mind. What could I have done differently there? What could I have done better? Did it ever feel awkward for me? Do I think it felt awkward for the seller? I think you need to do that on every single one of your calls, whether it's an agent, whether it's a seller, whatever. Make sure you're recapping that, and every single time you're trying to get a little bit better so the next time you don't make those same mistakes.
Guys, we got RJ Bates III on live. He is ready, willing, and certainly capable of answering any questions that you have. So do not be shy. If you have questions on anything about being an entrepreneur, being a leader, making calls, having better conversations, how to balance life and work, all of these things, he's here for us now. We've got him for another 55 minutes.
Well, I got to ask a question because I know RJ, and he's being very, very nice right now. But I know RJ, and I know that he's on really good behavior. So we're going to let him, take a victory lap here. So I want to ask you some questions, RJ, about the performance in itself. Because look, I hear Munif play second, and he is a beast. So much respect, so much love for him. What he's been able to accomplish, very. Just coming into the business as he did, learning the way he did, and just rising to the top of being able to, do this at a high level and compete with you. Were there moments and times when you were watching Munif and saying, "Oh, that was good," or "I'm going to take a note down," and "Oh, that's something that I'm going to put in my playbook"?
Oh yeah, dude. Munif went first both days. And I thought both days he was getting signed contracts. I mean, the competition started with Munif having an amazing conversation, and it just didn't get there because the seller told him, I'm 70 years old and I've never signed a contract on my first conversation. So I'm at least going to hang up and think about this for a minute, and then I'll call you back and then I'll sign. Just the worst seller to ever get in a Closers Olympics. And then the next day, he had a weird situation where there were 3 sisters. And I think that really kind of scared him away, the clock and everything. But from a talking to sellers perspective, Munif is amazing. He has grown so much since 2021. And shout out to him. Back-to-back second place finishes. Okay.
Big time. I mean, that shows that you guys are the leaders in the pack, right? There's no doubt. You can't replicate this over and over again if it's not 1,000% the truth, right? Yeah. You are the king closer. Munif is right there with you in second place, obviously, but an incredible closer. Was there anybody else in the pack that you think even stood a chance against the two of you?
Let me just give you real quick. Let me give you a couple of notes that I took from Munif because I thought it was brilliant.
Awesome.
He's talking about, and he's talking to the gal, and he's like, "Are you familiar with inflation?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's crazy." Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Okay, well, the best time to sell your house was yesterday.
Yeah.
The second best time is today.
Yes.
And the worst day is tomorrow."
Oh, that's good. He's smooth.
Good.
And he goes, "Man, it just seems like you guys have been through so much with this property. Wow. Tell me more about that."
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And then it was just going and going and going. So big shout out to Munif. I mean, his active listening was on point. He was able to pull out a lot of the information, and he was serving the whole time. He was really trying to understand.
I think that's the key, right? Is that the two of you guys, obviously Munif, a student of Pace Morby and Subto, learned from one of the best in the game. Yourself, you both come with this heart of gold where you truly want to serve the person on the other side of the coin and that of the phone. And that's, to me, the most important thing, right? Because when we're displaying this, when we're showcasing these conversations in front of thousands of people, the example we want to set is one of high integrity and high ethical positioning, right? Which you guys absolutely portray. And so tell me about that, RJ. How hard is it to remain, true to just the spirit of being a good person when you're doing this? Because of course, when we're in business, we're negotiating for ourselves, and oftentimes it's counterintuitive, if not against our best judgment or against our own best interests, to be as helpful as we can be and as service based as we can be to the seller. Yet I think it's very important. So would you speak to that?
Yeah, I will. First and foremost, on Munif, I don't know if he wants me to share this or not, but I'm going to, because this is his family. He actually wasn't going to participate in this year's Closers Olympics because of the impact that participating in the 2021 Closers Olympics had on him. It was very stressful. Munif is competitive, but not like I am. This isn't. He doesn't talk the trash. He's the nice guy. You know,
Yeah.
it played a role on him as a human being, and so he said, "Hey, let somebody else go out there and shine." You know, and I was the one that called Munif and said, "No, you're going to do this because."
You bullied him.
There is someone out there that needs to hear my voice, and there's someone out there that sounds just like you and looks just like you and has your personality that doesn't need to hear me. They need to hear Munif.
100%.
And it took three and a half minutes. And he said, all right, RJ, you're right. I forgot. I'm coming back. And I'm so glad he did, because he represented the Subto family so well. He is an amazing human being. I love that man. He's amazing. And it's easy to do the right thing when you know that there's people like Munif out there that they truly see how they can help people. And going back to that story with CJ, where I sold him that deal and I made $70,000. Okay. That seller, when I talked to her, she said, I have a standing offer from Open Door for $370,000. My first words to her is, you should take that, ma'am. That is an amazing offer. And let me tell you how amazing Open Door is. I have sold over 20 properties to Open Door, and let me tell you about the process. Let me tell you how amazing this is going to go down. This is where they're going to hit you with the fees, but it's going to be reasonable. And this is how they'll get you taken care of. She said, what would your offer be? I said, it would be $230,000, ma'am. She said, how fast can you close? I said, we could probably close in a month. She said, I think I want to go with you.
Wow.
I said, ma'am, I just want to reiterate here. I'm $140,000 less than Open Door. And she says, but I don't want to deal with them because they don't care about me. You care about me. They're a corporation. You're a human being. I can talk to you because I have problems. I'm moving from here to Alabama. I need this to close on my timeline. I'm going to have to quit my job. And then a week later, I need to move. So I need the funds. I need a 7-day lease back. Can you help me with that? And all of those reasons are the reason why all of our conversations go the exact same, because 99% of the time that seller is going to say, thanks for the information, and go with Open Door. But the one time it doesn't, man, it was a great payday for us, but it was also an amazing experience knowing that she chose us because we cared about her as a human being. And just making sure you always do the right thing. That's where money comes from. I mean, it doesn't come from being a shady person and lying. Brent, I think I talked about it yesterday. I don't like the whole let me check with my finance manager and all this. Like, I feel it's disingenuous. There was a moment in the Closers Olympics where one of the guys said, let me go check with my finance manager. And then she ended up talking about the Bible and about how the Bible was the most important thing and honesty. And I'm like, you see, this is the problem when we follow scripts that lie. That's why I don't like it. I like just being honest and transparent with sellers because it works at the end of the day.
Amen to that, brother.
Yeah, listen, we're truth tellers and truth seekers. We have to, and I have it written here in bold, and you can see, don't think for the other person. You know what I mean? You can, like RJ, you went out there and you told her that you can get, I'm going to give you the facts. Here's the facts. What do you want to do with the facts?
Yep.
Don't think for other people. We do it all the time. I do it all the time, especially when I was first starting to make calls. I was like, okay, well, this person is in foreclosure, so I need to approach it this way. This person is in, it's a really rough rental property, so they're probably going to say this and all this other stuff. And you start trying to like fit it into what your narrative is. You're trying to filter it through your own experience, and it's wrong. Like, don't think for the other person. Give them the facts. Put a bunch of love behind it and watch what happens. You're unstoppable. That's really what I get out of from RJ. RJ goes, and yes, is his tone to the point? Yes, absolutely. But you mix in there so many family, so much about your family and birthdays and sports and anything. I mean, any conversation you could pull out something that relates to you personally, and then all of a sudden people's defenses go down and you have a better conversation with them. And
Listen,
I think that is a huge power on the phone.
I had a call with a seller during one of my lives. The call lasted over an hour, and both me and him cried multiple times. I'm on YouTube live, just like this, on StreamYard, same thing we got right here. And I'm on the phone with the seller, and he made me cry. There are moments where in the Closers Olympics, it shows a lot of skill set between the different types of closers there are. But it doesn't always show those golden moments where, like in my case, people want to talk about how to the point and I'm a driver, right? That's true, but it doesn't work with every seller. And there's moments where there's a connection, the rapport is built, and it becomes a lot bigger than just real estate. And when you can make conversations a lot bigger than just talking about a property, that's where magic happens. And I hope people can see that. If you can't see that by watching a Closers Olympics, go watch somebody else that you want to be like and watch them talk to sellers, because you'll see it. The successful people that close a lot of deals, they have those magical moments with sellers.
Yep.
RJ, any honorable mentions beyond yourself and Munif for your outstanding work in the Olympics that you'd like to give?
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, I've got all my scores written down here. Listen, Naaman, one of my students, shout out to him. He finished third. He's the only other person in the competition that got a signed contract. He says he's coming for me next year. I have no doubts in my mind that he's coming. You could see it on his face. He wanted it so bad. And about 5 minutes left in his round, I think he realized I'm not going to get it. I fully expect Naaman to come back.
He came out to the 8 Mile soundtrack with boxing gloves on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was fired up.
Max Jimenez is a machine. I mean, he's probably the most skilled closer, the most well-trained closer out of any of us. He had a rough go as far as his leads, but finished third last year, finished fourth this year. Fully expect him to come back and listen, he's got the Closers Lab and incredible content there. And then the last ones I want to talk about are some of our qualifiers. These people don't have the big name brands, but they had to go win a qualifying round to even make the Closers Olympics. Shout out to them because they put on a show. K2, Kendall Ficklin the second, just was a stud. I mean, you can see it when you can see sometimes when a guy starts to talk, it's like, oh, this guy's a closer. And it was very organic, and he just felt he did a great job mirroring sellers. He was amazing. And then a couple of other ones that didn't make it into the main event, but Rich Wonders, the Novation King, was awesome and super fun to watch.
He's good.
And I got to know him a little bit. He's a fun guy.
He is.
And then Scotty Balsamo, just a really good guy as well. Learned a lot about him. He owns like 70 rentals and just got started in this and is already doing 6-figure months. So just love the whole event. Everyone did great, but those are the standouts to me.
RJ, I do have an ask here, and I'm curious as to how this how people can qualify, but I'm noticing there's no women.
Toddy was in it, and
she got
a sign. I thought she got a signed deal, didn't she, RJ?
No, so Toddy was in the main event.
Yeah.
She finished middle of the pack.
Okay.
And then there was multiple women that tried out. They just didn't qualify.
Got it.
And now here's the thing: you could go right now to Closers Olympics Instagram and DM the word audition if you want to try out. That's how you will make it in 2024.
Okay. It's a meritocracy. We're not giving out, badges for nothing, but I'd love to see more ladies involved, and possibly even make the leaderboard, if not win, at some point in the future, because we know that we've got some talented females in our community that are just crushing deals, and this would be an incredible platform and opportunity for us to showcase that.
Two of my best acquisition managers, Julie and Allie, and Natasha, actually, phenomenal.
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they're not on my team anymore because they started their own businesses. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely incredible. So, listen,
on that note, I do have to shout out another female from the Closers Olympics. We had Dispo Day today for the first time ever, and it was incredible. I got to host it because apparently that's what happens when you win. They say, "Hey, here, go do some free work. You get to be the host." Awesome. What an honor,
Oh, you get the honor of working more. Here you go.
Exactly. So I hosted Dispo Day today. Signed $125,000 in assignments by 3 Dispo managers in 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing.
Now, 92,000 of that was by Steve Francis from the HBHS team. He clearly is the king Dispo closer. Okay. But Layla from Equity Cash Offer here in Dallas-Fort Worth, Donovan Ruffin's team, she assigned a $25,000 assignment right there on the spot. She did a great job negotiating. Clearly, you can see she is a killer on the phones. So, yes, we need more women in it, but we need more women to let us know that they are a killer closer. Like, we need you to come out and produce content and try out and let us know. Don't sit in the comments and say, I could have done that. Let us know. Go to Closers Olympics Instagram, DM them, audition, and let's get you on the show. I'd love to see 6 women versus 6 men. That would be amazing, because this has been a conversation for 3 years now, and it doesn't need to be. We know that there's women out there killing it, and I want to beat the women just as bad as I want to beat the men. It doesn't matter. Like you said, I just want to win the belt. So
let's get to some questions. We've got some great questions starred here, and we're going to open this thing up. Graydon closed 2 bandit deals, want to pull a list to start cold calling and texting. What is a tired landlord list? Just high equity and owned for 7 years. And what is the top list you would recommend? What do you think, RJ?
So on list, I'm pretty specific on this. I use batch leads, which I believe all of us use batch leads here. I'm gonna try to slow this down as much as possible, but I'm gonna tell you my exact list that I pull for all of my texting and all of my cold calling. Okay, you're gonna go through. You're gonna pick single family, residential, individually owned. You're gonna put 45 to 100% equity. Then you're gonna put the median estimated value. So say if it was like here in Dallas-Fort Worth, I'd probably put 125,000 to 275,000. That gets me both my landlords and my flippers. So I'm maximizing my ability to dispo. Then I'm going to stack vacant, tax defaults, liens, pre-foreclosures, inherited, unknown equity, and expired listings. And that is my list.
The amount of years owned?
Nope. Because I got the equity.
When he's got the equity percentage in there, he's dealing with that because it'll automatically filter for time. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Time or down payment, one of the two, right?
Right. And listen, if it's down payment, they might want to recoup that, but we're hitting them with the motivation. So that's where it comes in, where it's like, well, if you're pre-foreclosure, but you put a big down payment, I know you probably want to recoup that, but there's still – we know that there's going to be a minimum of 45% equity when we get them on the phone. So that's the reason why we're putting that. We don't worry about the time.
Awesome. Great. I would filter if that's too big of a list, guys. Filter with time.
The other list,
if you have to narrow it down, if you're just getting started, you have a limited budget. That could be a big list, just depending. So if you need to narrow it down,
I narrow it down with the estimated value. If it's too big, then I just narrow it down. So if I have to go all the way down to my estimated value is 210 to 220, guess what that helps me with? Comping, because I know the ARV should be 210 to 220.
Awesome. RJ, how many hours a day would you say is a regular day for you? Thanks, champ. From Arturo Cortez.
8 hours. 8 hours, and I filter in 3.5 pee breaks. That's
you go.
That's every day you go 8 hours?
Yep, on the phone.
Give me
on
your,
YouTube,
give
baby.
Me your schedule, RJ.
So I start calling at 10 a.m. Central, and
when
I finish.
Do you wake up?
I wake up at 6:30.
Every day?
Every day.
Woo.
So I wake up at 6:30.
What are some of the things that you do before you sit down to make the phone calls to prepare yourself for 8 hours of getting the shit kicked out of you?
Yeah. So for me, it's one of two things. When I first get up, it's going to be listening to an Audible book or listening to music, depending on where I'm at. Some mornings when you wake up a little bit sluggish, you don't want to hear the 48 laws of power. It's like, no, I need some giddy up and go. So that's where the music goes on. I'm a guy, I got to shower right when I get up. From there, get ready for the day, have my breakfast, talk to my kiddos, talk about what they're going to do with the day, kiss them goodbye. And then I get in the car. The 8-minute car ride to the office is music only. There is no, that is my pump up jam time. I get mentally prepared. I have some of the most amazing thoughts in that drive. I cherish my 8-minute drive to the office. Then when I get here, I'm normally one of the first ones here at the office. The bookkeeper sometimes beats me. But when I get here, it's about getting in my zone. I'm kind of off from everybody else now with our setup. And so I really kind of analyze what I want to get accomplished. I write things down. I compartmentalize what my day is going to look like. And then from there, we have our team meeting about 9 o'clock. So from 9 to 10, it's all about getting the team prepared. And then at 10 o'clock, I start. I go to about noon. Cassie comes in, takes over for me. I go use the restroom, eat some lunch, come back 2 more hours. 2 hours later, she gives me a break, and then I finish out the day. That's pretty consistent on what we've been doing for a while now, and it works.
Can you share some of your KPIs and key metrics for conversion? Because I think, people say this all the time. Jamil, I got the time, and it's no secret that I've been challenging against direct to seller, but I've always said direct to seller is where you get the biggest checks. It absolutely works. I'm a lazy man, which is why I love agent outreach, and I like making relationships with people. It's just my jam. But I've been going direct to seller and showcasing with Landry Morby every other week how lucrative and how feasible this lead generation technique is.
Yeah. Whether
you're RJ Bates or Jamil Damji or anybody else, right? And so, but what are the numbers, right? Like how many calls are you getting in a day, and then how many of those calls are turning into leads, and then how many of those leads are converting into contracts, and how many of those contracts are closing in a month? Can you walk us through, because you're because of the consistency that you've got, and the fact that you're fairly talented at what you're doing here, you would be the crown jewel. You'd be the gold standard on what direct to seller cold calling should be able to convert. Explain.
Right. Well, thank you for saying those kind words. So I have my KPI sheet pulled up here for my 50-day challenge, which I just completed this past week, right before the Closers Olympics. In those 50 days, we sent out 161 contracts, and 117 of those were signed. Okay, so right at the 70% of contracts sent were signed. Okay, on that, cold calling was our worst contract sent to signed conversion. We were at 52% of cold calls contracts sent that were signed. We were able to get 14 cold call contract signed. Now, what I identified is I have a problem in my cold calling process. That is what I have unpacked in the past 50 days that I need to fix that. I am not cold calling. That is data pulled from batch leads, put on batch dialer, and my VAs are cold calling, and then they are pushing that to my CRM, and then I am trying to close those on the phone, okay?
How many callers, RJ?
8.
Got it.
Okay. Highest conversion was lead Zolo. These are the YouTube leads that we closed in this Closers Olympics. 85 contracts sent, 61 signed. Okay. Speed to lead, which is PPC marketplace that you can cherry pick where you buy. 17 contracts sent, 14 signed. The worst converting deals that we had, and I'm sorry, Jamil, I'm not Key Glee, was JV deals.
And that's typical. It's typical because usually, in a JV scenario, you weren't involved in the negotiations.
Right.
You weren't the person who negotiated price. It's no secret that when you're JVing, you're going to be sifting through a lot of garbage before you get to a deal that actually pencils out and makes sense, because people overprice stuff. They waste time on inspection days wanting to make $100,000 on their deal. And then ultimately on the last day of inspection, they're like, hey, can you sell this for $70,000 less? And you find out where their real contract price is. And you're like, man, you boned us all here by coming out the gate with that number. So it doesn't at all bother me, and it makes sense that would be a lower converting. It's just those contracts are already in place. So they're always, available for you to work.
Yeah. We ran into issues with like access to the property.
Yep.
Title wasn't open, and then we opened title, and then there was issues that were going to take forever to be resolved. There was a lot of different things that we ran into there. Next was our website. We got 4 contracts, just direct SEO leads, and then the last, which I thought was very interesting, we got 11 contracts from me posting reels on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. These are sellers watching me talk to other sellers and deciding, I want you to buy my house. Not JV deals. These are direct to seller from people watching me talk to other sellers.
Isn't that interesting? Sellers watching you talk to other sellers saying, I like that guy. Let's sell our house.
And these are nationwide?
Yes. These are all nationwide. Now, as far as you asking me, how many calls am I placing on a daily basis?
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to average somewhere around 200. Okay. But
these are lead follow-up?
No, this is leads are coming in. So lead Zolo, boom, brand new. I'm calling, and the follow-ups.
Right.
So I manage the entire queue by myself.
Right.
My entire staff got moved to dispositions. Okay. So from there, it did get to a point where the queue got a little bit cumbersome for me. And what I did was I started flip-flopping where I was. So like on Monday, I'd start at the top. Tuesday, I'm starting at the bottom. Wednesday, I'm starting at the middle. And I'm shuffling the times in which I'm following up with people. Mm-hmm. But I also talk about this, Jamil. I don't really care about how many calls I place in a day. It's about how many contracts did I get in a day, because that's a vanity number to say I placed 200 calls. I would love to come out of it and say I placed 8 calls and I got 8 contracts. That's a beautiful day. 200 calls means you probably were leaving a hell of a lot of voicemails. So I always told people, because I got that asked all the time. People just kind of coming in for 10 minutes and saying, how many calls you place in a day? I don't know it. I don't care. That's not my KPI. My KPI is, did I get a contract? I need 3 to 4 contracts a day. That means I know I'm doing what I can do. And that's what I learned was that's a good day for me is 4 contracts sent, 2 to 3 signed.
And what does that convert to in closes? Like how many of those are actually going the distance and not falling apart because of title issues or other things? And,
So where we're at right now is 70% have made it to the finish line. So we're at a 30% termination. That's really good.
It is.
Some of them are hanging on by a thread. Like 2 today we assigned. Not gonna lie, one was for $1,000 and one was for $3. But we kind of pushed them across the finish line.
Yeah,
right.
We got them across. Yeah.
And that's what I always tell the team. I'm like, guys, we solved the seller's problem. And listen, it was 3 is better than 0. Real quick, I can do the math. I don't have the average assignment fee in front of me, but I can figure it out. What is that? 30, 48.
So with the lead Zolo, these are people saying, hey, I'm thinking about selling it at the very least. To the most, yes, I want an offer. Right. Speed to lead, same thing.
Yeah, they're both pay-per-click. Lead Zolo and
well, Lead Zolo does something unique. They do YouTube ads.
Okay.
To a website.
Okay.
And
which,
so,
by the way, helps so much when you're talking to. I can't tell you how many times the sellers have been like, "Yeah, I loved you in that video."
Of course,
I'm not on the video, but thank you. I mean, they automatically feel this connection because it's video. Average assignment fee has been $13,755 so far.
Awesome.
And so we've closed 48 so far, and then 25 terminations, and we have 44 in dispositions right now.
We see this question in the chat over and over again here. Are you doing any direct to agent, RJ?
I am not. I asked you to come on to show me how to do it, and you said, RJ, I don't know if you know this, but I am a TV star. I am on.
I did not say that.
And I said, so was I.
Did he tell you how much weight he's lost too?
I can see. He looks amazing.
My God.
But no, it's
I'd love to do that with you. I think you would smash on calls with agents. You're such a relatable guy, and it's a phenomenal way to get really, really great deals, build relationships. The fun thing about those agent relationships is they translate. You build one relationship, and that can mean, like a Matthew Potter, I'm doing 2 deals a month with. I don't even have to call Matthew. He's inbound for me now, right? And I have hundreds of agents that are like that and even the Astro community gets the benefit from the same thing. I'd love to see RJ spin on agent outreach. It would be an incredible collab there. So we'll definitely do that.
Listen, I'm down to do it as long as I get to be like a superhero or from Jumanji, or as long as you make some cool meme where I'm like in shape and like some sort of hero. I'm down to do it, Jamil.
Awesome.
You're Thor. You'll be Thor. It'll be great.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. There you go. What, real quick, lead Zolo and speed to lead. What's your average cost per lead?
So lead Zolo is $100 for me.
Yep. And
speed to lead is going to be way less because they now have what's called the coupon club.
Yeah.
And so that's $99 a month I signed up for. So on the weekends, they basically fire sell all of their leads.
Yeah.
So we were going in and picking up like 40 to 50 a week for like $7 to $9 a piece.
Yeah.
And now, of course, you're going to get some of them where they say, yeah, I've already sold, but for $7, I mean, hell, that's a great conversation. You got any other properties you need to sell?
Yep.
And then just move on. We really, our biggest expense on this was VAs, the 8 VAs, which batch dialer, our cold call was the worst performing. So that's what I'm saying. I got to do better there.
Yeah, but that's you reaching out to them. That's not them reaching out to you. The other ones are marketing. You're talking about prospecting.
Right.
I mean, it's always going to be.
Lead Zolo, $100. I think we probably spent in the range of like 30 to 40 grand so far on Lead Zolo. And just taking a look right here, I mean, it's been well worth the investment.
Awesome.
Your cost per contract, would you say it's significantly different between the different PPCs or your cold calling? And do you have averages that you would be willing to share?
Yeah. So I don't have the exact numbers in there, but I do know on Lead Zolo, the last time I ran the numbers, we were at like 1.67 leads to a contract. and then 70% of the contracts are closing, right? So whatever kind of algorithm we got to come up to figure out what that is. Speed to lead.
And the leads cost how much?
$100.
Okay, so you're paying basically
paying
$167 for a deal,
and 70% $250.
No, it's $100 for a lead. It takes 7 of those for 6.7, so call it 7 to get a deal. So $700 for a contract.
That makes sense. Yeah, so about, and then 70% of that is about $1,000. Yeah, but it's RJ on the phone, right? It's a different situation. But $1,000 cost per contract is for direct to seller phenomenally low.
But did you hear he mention he put all of his team on Dispo
because they couldn't compare to him.
How do you have? No, I understand that, but how do you have that big of a cash buyer database?
The reason why they're all on Dispo is because when it's lead Zolo, we can't pick that it's going to be Dallas.
Right.
It's going to come in and be Tool, Texas.
Yep.
They got to work to Dispo that, and that's the reality of the choice that we made was let me go do what I do. And yeah, boys, sometimes I'm going to throw you some shit on a stick. And you got to figure it out. And that's what they're doing. We have Investor Lift on the cartel mode. It does help a lot, but there's still a lot of work that has to be done. Of course, when we get something in the major metro cities, flies off the shelf. But those rural areas, mobile homes, vacant lots, things like that, we're still contracting those. It just takes a lot more work. So that was why we made the decision to move everybody to Dispo.
How many people, RJ?
So it's me and Cassie. We've got Kristen, our bookkeeper. And then we've got Justin, Josh, Garrett, Trent, and Dixie.
So 5 Dispo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then Keaton, our TC as well. Can't forget him. So 1 TC. We've got Kristen, the bookkeeper, and then everyone else on Dispo, and then me doing acquisitions, and then Cassie basically manages the whole team.
At what point in your business do you stop doing acquisitions?
Well, I wasn't doing acquisitions until 50 days ago. I mean, the whole team was doing all of the acquisitions and dispositions. I said, I don't like where we are as a company.
Sure.
And I want to change the tune here. I needed to do it. I mean, hell, we're on Wholesale Hotline, so why not talk about this, right? It's only like the one of the biggest podcasts out there in real estate. But listen, we had the opportunity to be on TV, me and Cassie. It didn't work out. I essentially got us fired for wearing a shirt that had a symbol on it, and they said, "Hey, you're fired." And so we were let go. I'm not gonna lie, that emotionally set me back quite a bit. It really hurt our company. I am the leader of this organization. Cassie is the person. She's the mom, right? She's with them in the trenches, but emotionally, I'm the energy that comes in here, and I didn't have any. I mean, I've never been fired from anything. I've never been told that I did something that they said I did. And it's not who I am as a person. And so it emotionally took a toll on me, and our company took a hit for it, and we went down. And I'm not going to lie. The other person on the show that had the repercussions, Nicole, she's the one that said, "Hey, RJ, something's not right with you." And I understand what it is, but maybe you should go do one of your challenges. When you do that, that's RJ. You're on the phone. You're helping solve people. You're in a
you have to get your mojo back.
Yeah.
And I sat here and I said, yeah, we didn't even make an announcement. I mean, literally, we just freaking put it up on YouTube. And one Monday, it was like, "Hey guys, welcome to 50 Deals in 50 States in 50 Days. We're doing this again." And people were like, "Holy shit, we're doing this again." And it's like, "Yep, we're doing it again, baby." And we rolled with it. It's one of the best things that I've ever done because it got me back to doing what I'm passionate about. It got me.
Was there any other things? Because, brother, first, having a situation like that where you're that hurt by something, I can understand that. And I think everybody at a high level who has taken a lick can say that it's soul crushing. It can really affect you, especially when you're the leader in a team and they're all looking to you. And then, you feel like you might've been the reason that something happened or whatever. And even though you know your intention or your integrity behind it. With that said, how do you talk yourself out of that, right? Because it's hard, man. When you are getting kicked in the knees and when you feel down and I had one of the most overwhelming days of my year today. It was interesting. Bobby and I were sitting chatting about things and I was just like, man, I just feel like I'm getting hit every way I can. I just got home and all of a sudden it's just getting smacked left and right. And it was hard, right? And I'd love to hear, how does a guy like you rise out of that?
Yeah, you really have to look at the people that are closest to you in your life, and lean on them. And sometimes for someone like me, that's not easy to do. I want them to lean on me, but then I realized that's me being selfish. They want me to lean on them. They want me to open up. And it was funny. My son was one of the biggest supporters. He was in the car with me when I got the call. He was the one that heard why I got fired. I had to explain to him what some words that a 10-year-old should know mean. And afterwards, when he could tell that I was hurting and I would open up and I would talk about it, I'll never forget. He looked at me and in the most simplistic 10-year-old way, he said, Dada, but you're not. So it's okay. And he just like walked away and walked off. And it was one of those days where it's like a 10-year-old explained it to me in the most simplest of ways, where it's like, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about what somebody else thinks about you, because you're not. And really leaning on Cassie and my family and my team. I mean, dude, my team, they're a bunch of young kids. I mean, we've hired kids that are 19, 20, 21 years old. They rallied around me and said, I came here because I wanted to work with you, man. I watched you on TikTok. I watched you on Instagram. I want to be like you. And I realized, oh, who the hell wants to be like me if I'm sitting in here and I'm not me. I'm not being me. I'm not being the leader that they want. And hearing them constantly support me, just basically leaning on the other people, man, it really shook me out of the funk that I was in.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Incredible. And so are you going to stay in that position?
For right now, yeah, I am, because I enjoy it. I enjoy it, and I don't think I'm fully out of everything. Yep. It was weird. I won the Closers Olympics yesterday, right? Super exciting. Massive adrenaline crash for me. There's these things that you have where it's like, you should be so excited about. And you guys know this because y'all have had tons of success in y'all's career, where sometimes when it's over, it's like, all right. It's kind of like that moment when you host an event and the last person walks out the door, you kind of stand there and you look around and you're like, all right, well, that happened. Like, now what?
Yeah.
You put so much into things sometimes, you can kind of lose yourself in the weeds there. And for me, it's about, I'm finding the passion. I've never lost the passion for real estate, but I think I listen to other people. There can only be so many Carlos Reyeses. There can only be so many Jamil Damjis that are like, hey, my team does everything. And I wanted to be there, but maybe I really didn't. Maybe it's where I thought I should be. And
you're a player. You're the best on the court. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man.
You're the best on the ice, whatever you want, whatever analogy you want to be. And I have that conversation. Do you want to be Michael Jordan or do you want to be the owner of the Bulls? You know what I mean? Like, that's a real question. Do you want to be wildly, like, doctors, attorneys, they're on the court, right? They work, they get paid. They don't all own the law firms
or the hospital,
or the hospital for that matter. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think for, if there's certain seasons, and if you're in a season where you just want to just dominate on the court and make as much money. And by the way, you can make a tremendous amount of income being on the court. You actually oftentimes take a hit when you pull yourself off the court and start setting things up.
I've had listen. There's no doubt here, and to anybody that ever wants to question, what's it like when you have a big business like a Keegley or whatever. There's been times in the years that we've been in operation where our top sales guy took home more money than me in a month. Mm-hmm. It's happened. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's just the reality of what happens when you're the business owner. Now, when things are really good, you get to take home, you got the equity, you've got, there's a lot of, but when things are hard or you got an efficiency situation or you lose a key player or something goes on, you also take the hits. You take the hits before a salesperson would take the hits or a team member on it. So, being a star player is also, when you're the star player, you get to go home and you get to turn it off sometimes, and just be like, hey, I had a great day today. I'm going to put my feet up and I'm just going to, enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll add something to that. It's the content perspective of it, giving back to the community. I had this conversation with Batch when we had the issues with the texting and, we couldn't send out as many texts in a day. And they were like, hey, RJ, we need you to do these challenges like Jamil's doing. He's painting himself blue like a genie. Can you do that? And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. What? I'm like, what is he doing? And they're like, he's showing them how to use Batch Dialer. And I'm like, is he using Batch Dialer? And he's like, no, he's just walking them through the process. And I'm like, that's so not me, man. Like, can we do a challenge where I got to do it? I got to text. I got to be on the phone. I got to talk. Otherwise, I can't produce. I'm not like you guys. I was in awe for the first 22 minutes of this episode. I'm like, these guys are completely unscripted, just shooting the shit about something right now. And you guys are just brilliant at it. I'm not that guy. I have to be able to do something. So from a content perspective, that's also the reason why it's like, no, I want to show people that they can do this.
Just like genuine. It's genuine, RJ. You're a genuine guy. You're a real dude. It's why people resonate to you. It's why you have a following, and it's why you you dominate at your craft, because people can sense the authenticity. They can tell that they're not talking to a cardboard cutout of RJ. They're talking to the real RJ, a real human being who can connect at a human level, and it's not a rare quality. It's an earned quality. And you've done and shown people how they can earn it. And then you've shown the fruits of it. And so, it's a phenomenal thing, brother. And you should be very proud of yourself and proud of your accomplishments in the business and your contributions to the community, because they're many.
Thank you.
You bring so many people into this. You know what I mean? People see you on TikTok. People see you on Instagram. People see you on YouTube, and they see you actually doing the work. And it gives them hope that they can do it too. And even more, I think it gives them that extra push that says, you know what? I've watched this guy. I've watched like 500 videos of this guy. I'm ready to go. Yeah. Like I've studied it. I've looked at it. I see what he says. I see how he overcomes the objections. I see how he doesn't overthink anything. He doesn't do tremendous amounts of research. He just gets right into the conversation, and he does it better than anybody else.
You know what's amazing is I got a kid in my office. He's 21 years old. He told me the other day, I've sold properties in 26 different states.
That's
21 years old.
That is bananas.
I'm like, whoa, 26? I'm like, dude, that's amazing. Like,
how did you find him, or how did he find you?
All right. Do we want the unedited version of the story?
Yes.
All right, the unedited version of the story is I'm at Donovan Ruffin's event here in Dallas, okay? Ryan Pineda flies in.
Shout out Donovan Ruffin, by the way, guys. If you don't know Donovan, he's a phenomenal dude, big friend of the community, friend of ours, friend of the show. Sorry, carry on.
Unbelievable entrepreneur.
He's incredible.
Unbelievable.
He really is. I've known Donnie since he was placing 500 bandit signs on a Saturday, and now I don't, he would never talk to a seller. Like, that's where he's at. I mean, it's like, no, there are 72 layers before it gets to me,
Yeah.
That's how big equity cash offer is. But he has his big event. Ryan Pineda flies in to speak at it. I had Ryan Pineda on my podcast, but I never met him in person before. So I'm like, I got to meet Ryan. Go there, meet Ryan. I'm walking out of the back room. Everyone flocks around Ryan Pineda. I keep walking, and there's a guy that just had attended my Crucible event, my education, and he was drunk, and there was about 15 of them. And he's like, F. Pineda, this is the real dude. This is the guy you need to be flocking around. He's like, come over here. Do y'all know who this is? He's like, this is the king closer. 50 deals, 50 states. He's doing all this.
Yeah.
And at this point, I had a couple of drinks myself. So I'm feeling the energy. And they're like, 50 deals. I'm like, yeah, just subscribe right here on my YouTube channel. And Justin, he's standing over in the corner. And he's like, looking, and I'm like, why are you here? And he's like, I trade Forex, and I saw this ad that I could learn how to do real estate. So I decided I wanted to come here. And I was like, well, here's the thing. It's your lucky day. All right. You're going to call me tomorrow, and I'm going to hire your ass. But if you don't call me, you can never show up to another real estate investing event ever again, because you're a little punk ass bitch. And I walked off.
Wow.
The next day he calls me and he's like, well, I don't want to be a punk ass bitch. So are you hiring me? And he's worked for me ever since.
Wow.
That's
Awesome.
the story of Justin.
Great job, Justin. And he sold how many states? 26, 27?
26 states. And dude, he's a killer. I mean, honestly, I love him so much. He's dedicated to our company. He'll do anything that I ever ask. And he's a killer on the phones. He asked me today, he said, why am I not competing in the Dispo Closers Olympics? I said, because no one asked me. And I said, but you will next year. I promise you that. You will be. So yeah, man, he's learned so much. And that's the power of, events. You were talking about going to RIAs earlier. You never know what's going to happen.
That's right.
How do you feel about rapid fire before we take it home?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's throw some questions up on there, Matt, and let's let RJ, Brent, and myself bang through them as many as we can before the end of the show.
Yep.
Brittany Berryman asks, RJ, do you do agent outreach? No, he hasn't. Only direct to seller, but we will soon. Next.
Just said it, Matt. Are there any nuances to be aware of when trying to wholesale direct to agent as a licensed realtor?
Well, you want to identify yourself as a licensed agent always, because disclose. Next, you're going to want to understand that you have to be very careful about representation. If you're going to be in the principal as in the contract as the principal, you can't have representation. You can't be representing a seller. You can't be representing the person. You got to be the principal. And let people know that you're licensed. But beyond that, you can absolutely act as an investor, as an agent as well. It's one of the very, very few things people realize that, hey, I can buy things as an agent. How cool.
Don't you have a fund?
Of course.
What's it called?
Which one? Flip Fund? Well, right now we're only doing transactional funding.
That's what I'm saying.
Only doing transactional funding. Flipcashtoday.com.
And what does transactional funding allow everybody, including real estate agents, to be? The buyer. Guys, you are the buyer out there. You are the buyer. There is more money than there are really great deals. You find a really great deal, go in as the buyer. Spencer, if you find an ugly property, it needs significant investment, you're going in there as the cash buyer. You're not going as the agent representing them. That's just advice from that took me a long time to figure out.
What's the best way to learn a market virtually, RJ?
Get a deal. Talk to buyers.
Boom.
You'll learn real quick that way.
Next. Is that it? Did we get through them all? Oh, no. We got 4 more. Here we go. Oh, we got a celebration. Just sold my first home today. It only brought 766, but I hope I'll be able to sell a home that makes me more than 65,000.
Well
Dr.
done.
Mantis Toboggan.
What a typical doctor. Only brought me 65K.
Only 65. You can tell the sarcasm in the doctor's voice there. Silvar Ventures says, how does one assign a property that has an ongoing insurance claim? Can the insurance check be assigned? This is in Cape Coral and has some hurricane damage. RJ?
Yeah, that's called an assignment of benefits. It can absolutely be done, although Florida has added some stipulations to that, okay? So be careful, but yes, that's called an assignment of benefits. It's very common in hurricane damage, and it can be very profitable. In fact, I know a buddy of mine that was in Arizona that actually, due to the insurance proceeds, almost got a $700,000 house for free because of the insurance proceeds.
Awesome.
Awesome. And we'll go to Anna next. Anna said, I was going to take a personal loan to get my LLC and holding company set up with Prime so I can start talking to agents, but got denied. Will agents still take me serious without an LLC? Yes, Anna, you can work and do deals in your personal name. It's totally normal. But interesting how you got denied. So I think you should probably look into that, because you should not. Oh, you wanted to get a personal loan to get your LLC and holding company started. Well, you may just be able to just form a simple LLC without having to do the trust or anything like that. You might not need as complicated of an LLC structure, Anna. So what I would do is look at the Secretary of State in your state and see what is the process of just filing an LLC on your own.
Anna, talk to people. Go out there and take action. That'll solve everything. That'll solve that bank account issue. That'll solve that credit. That'll solve all of it. Go and have quality conversations with people that own rough properties.
RJ, how do you get the beard to look so good?
Dude, it's all about in the morning, you got to do the shampoo, and then you blow dry, okay? And then you got the balm that goes on, and then you got to have a desk where it disappeared. There's supposed to be a brush in this drawer right here, but it's not there. But that's what you do.
Do you drink red Kool-Aid all day, or are those lips ruby red naturally?
This is what happens when it turns. So my office has a ton of windows, and it's on the lake. And when it turns night, I just turn like the Kool-Aid man. I don't understand what's happening.
That is lipstick. I am certain of it. King Closer.
King Closer, man.
RJ, thank you so much for being on here, brother.
Thank you guys for having me.
Well, just to make a quick announcement, guys, we have just passed over 200,000 downloads a month for Wholesale Hotline. Guys, go check it out. We put a lot of love, a lot of effort. Abreu, who is our producer, does a phenomenal job for us. So a big shout out to Abreu. Guys, we come out with new podcasts 7 days a week. Pace Morby, Jerry Norton, Jamil Damji, and myself all have episodes in there, including this Wholesale Hotline. Check it out.
Everybody give RJ a follow. RJ, what's your IG?
RJ Bates, I.
RJ Bates, I on Instagram. Give him a follow.
Baby.
Subscribe to him on YouTube. Wholesale Hotline, number 180. We out.
We love you.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.